ladies and gentlemen, to Are You Afraid of the Mark with Josh Ruxall, and today we have a very special guest, Ray Lyn, part of Team Platinum. Thank you, Ray, for joining.
Hey Josh, what's up? It's actually hashtag Platinum World Tour. Gotta correct you right there.
Hashtag Platinum World Tour. I stand corrected. There we go. So, what's it like being on the road? 24/7 is your main job is wrestling.
Yeah, my main job was wrestling until I got injured recently. So I'm spending a lot of time at home. I'm working like I wouldn't call it a 9 to 5 because I still don't work that much. But I'm working like a regular job right now, and I'm doing like the minimum that I can. And I'm training a lot to try to stay fit right now because I will be out till about June.
That's a while because you got injured in February.
Yeah, the very last week of February 24th, I was just finishing up training at the House of Truth, and yeah.
So what happened, if you don't mind me asking?
It was just an in-ring accident, just an accident. It kind of, I don't even really know how it happened. People were like, "Oh, how did it happen?" I'm like, "I guess I fell. I don't know." But there's this right here. It actually looks pretty good today.
If that looks good, I don't want to see it on a bad day.
Oh yeah, it actually looks good. I can move my fingers a little bit now, not a lot, but like I can move them. So I'm like very hopeful that everything will work like 100% by June.
So that's great. That's great news, and we hope you a speedy recovery. So we're gonna jump right into it now. How did you get your start in the business?
It's kind of a long story. All right, so I watched wrestling when I was younger. I quit watching it for a while throughout high school. I didn't watch it like at all. I was just busy doing my own thing. I started working at this bar when I was 19. I was bartending. And the guys would come in every Monday night and they'd be like, "Oh, we're going to put on Raw. We're going to put on Raw." I'm like, "This is stupid. I do not want to watch this." I'm like, "I watched this when I was a kid. I'm not watching this." So weeks after weeks after weeks, I was more into it than them. So when Monday Night Football started, I was like, "You guys, like, we gotta put on Raw." I'm sorry, I know it's Monday Night Football, but Raw's on. We had to get another TV. I got really into it. It's funny because the one patron at the bar is now my manager at work, so he lets me do pretty much whatever I want with my schedule. Because he's like, "Oh, Ray, I've known you since you were 19. He's like, "I got you." He's like, "You better get famous, you know." But I really got back into it. I really started watching it a lot. For years and years, I was looking into where I wanted to go to wrestling school. Like, I was like, "Oh, this is like going to college for me. This is a big investment into my future." So I looked around. I looked at schools in my area in Pittsburgh, and I really didn't see anything that stood out to me. So I was like looking and looking, and I was like, OVW is where I wanted to go because John Cena, Randy Orton, like names like that all went there, all been trained by Rip Rogers. And I was like, I just need to go there. So whatever I need to do, I need to make that happen. So, I was in my early, like 19, 20, so I partied too much. I ended up not saving up enough money until around the time, I think I was 23 or 24. My dad passed away, and I was like, "Hey, life is really short. I need to quit messing around, and I need to get this done." So I would say maybe 3, 4 months after my dad passed away, I had saved up enough money to start Nick Dinsmore's beginner's class at OVW. I found a roommate on Craigslist. I moved in with this crazy psycho girl, um, which was interesting. And I started training at OVW. I moved my whole life. I was a hairdresser and a bartender. I quit everything, and I just packed up my car and I left. It was fun.
That is the ultimate like dream story like people have where they see what they want to do, they try and go for it, and you got it. You went there. So after OVW, after your training, what was next for you?
Well, at OVW, Al Snow put me in a storyline with Dylan Bostic. I knew him from training, and I had talked to him, and they all came to the bar I worked at, and me and Dylan ended up getting really close, obviously. Yeah. He became my best friend. We ended up traveling together and going on the road, and then, now we're engaged and everything. Just, I don't know, he's my best friend. We have the most fun together. We share the same common goal in life. So I think it makes it easier for us because we have someone there pushing us. Like whenever Dylan's having a down day, I'm like, shut up. Like you got this. Like I don't know what you're doing. Just get your ass up and do what you got to do. And like the same with me with my hand. I've been up and down being depressed about it and stuff like that. But the real thing is you're your only obstacle. So I just need to just stay on it, you know? Um, so from there, me and Dylan decided that we wanted to leave OVW and we moved to Pittsburgh. We lived with my parents. Uh, Now we just travel a lot. We do a lot of indies, a lot in the Pittsburgh area. Wrestle in Ohio, a lot up in Canada, Detroit, Indiana, Kentucky, Florida. I mean, we go anywhere.
You can't not go on a Facebook wrestling group and not see Dylan and Ray Lyn on a poster somewhere on that first like 7 posts. It's
Yeah, that's we just want to see the world. We want to see big things. Like I'd really hope that in the future we get to go overseas. And yeah, we were trying to this summer, but it looks like we're gonna put that one on hold a little bit. But you know, it'll happen.
so out of all the places you've been, because you've been wrestled for a few very large companies, where's been your favorite place to wrestle? What company?
OVW's home.
There we go.
OVW is home. Um, you know, that's where I started. I met a lot of great people there, people that I'm still in contact with. Every time we go back to OVW, they welcome us with open arms. They're like, oh, when are you guys coming back? We're like, oh, you never know.
And with OVW, the fans there are almost cult-like, and it seems like there's the same fans at every show, every video I see. You see the same people in the front row. So
Yes.
that must be a nice atmosphere to go to, where the fans know you as well as the backstage.
Oh, definitely. They either love you or hate you there. It was funny. They hated me when I was there, but then when we came back after not being there for a few months, they were like, ah, you know?
So your character is a very bubbly character. Your gimmick is very bubbly, and you're happy. And how did you come across? How do you create your gimmick?
Al Snow was like, hey, you're ditzy. You're you. Be you. And then once I started just being me, it all came together.
It's funny. Like I was listening to I forget I think which one company I was listening to, but the way the announcers and the commentary play off your character, it just completes your character. Just the adjectives they use and all of that.
Yeah, they do. They definitely, like, they know, and then you could like, and for the longest time, like, I would just do these stupid little things, and I wouldn't even know that I was doing them. And they'd be like, "Keep doing that. Just keep doing that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
There's like this thing that they comment a lot on is that you'd go in the corner and you'd start dancing around, and they just you could tell the heel commentary just pick you apart for it. And it's great to see there's those little things that your character plays off and it does so well.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I don't know, when we moved up north, all of a sudden people were booking me as a heel, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do? But I do the exact same thing, except, you know, a little bit different with a little more attitude, you know?
So I was talking to you before, obviously, and you were saying that once your hand is a little bit better, you're going to go on the road with Dylan and be his manager. What is that like? Because I know it's a very different role, being in the ring and being a manager.
Well, I've been managing Dylan since the beginning of me wrestling, basically. A lot of times on some shows, I end up just managing him, so it's something I'm very used to. I really enjoy it as well, because it's just a chance. A lot of times, when we go to a show, I don't get the opportunity to wrestle, but I at least get to manage him. So people get to know my character before I get to wrestle. So that way I already have heat. People already don't like me by the time I'm in the ring. So it makes it easier for me once I do get to wrestle, because people were like, oh, we hate her. She's a bitch. Like, she's a cheater. oh, she's a cheater. We hate her. And I'm just like, yep, that's right. You hate me. Boo me. So that's nice. And I was managing the day after surgery. Yeah, I sucked it up. It was AIW had a show, and I was actually supposed to be wrestling Brittany Blake. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to wrestle because, yeah, I just had my arm, and yeah, so I managed basically the very next day. I've been managing since the injury happened, so I just can't stay away from wrestling.
There is that bug in a lot of people I talk to, and I'm not in the ring or per se, but I do photography at shows. I do anything I get my hands on, and there is that bug. Once you're in the inside and you see what happens inside, it's hard to break away from. And I understand, probably not as much as you know that, but that for sure. The other thing I want to ask is, with part of the managing aspect, you do it so well, but there's so many people that I watch when they manage and they don't have it. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and that can kill a match. But with you and Dylan, your guys' chemistry just works so well where it just enhances your product. And I just wanted to congratulate you on that, as all of the matches I've seen with you as the manager, you just add to it, and I find sometimes a manager can take away.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always tell them I'm a horrible manager, so that feels good to hear.
Other things I was asked by some of my viewers to ask you is, what makes it so when you're getting heat, what fires you up to keep throwing that heat out there, because it is harder to be a heel than a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that fire? How do you get fired up to?
I legit get hot sometimes at the crowd. Like, they say things to me, and I'm like, wow, you're an asshole. Like, I get really mad. Like, I take it personally, which is stupid, but, like, it gets me mad, and I just feel like, and then once they're giving me shit and I'm giving it back, it's back and forth. It just, I get in the moment. I really get in the moment. And that's how you just keep going. If the crowd isn't really reacting and I'm yelling at them, I'm like, oh, you guys are boring. Like, and that also gets me fired up as well.
So with your character, heel or babyface, whichever side you want, where do you see your character fitting best in a big promotion? I know everybody, the WWE is the dream, but let's take WWE out. The bigger promotions, New Japan, Lucha, TNA. Where would you see your character fitting in very well?
I've always seen my character as like, if I was a baby face, I would definitely be an underdog. Um, because I'm ditzy and I do this and I do that. I'm more of an underdog character, like someone that just gets beat up to the point, and then I'm like, I fire back up and I'm ready to come at you. Kind of like a chihuahua, like a little chihuahua. Um, so that's how I would see myself as a heel. If I don't know, as a heel, I like having a manager, because a lot of the times actually, I'm putting on more muscle now, but when I first started, I was really small. So it was really unbelievable for me to be a heel, because I weighed like 98 pounds and the other girls weighed like, well, it was Lady Tappa. So, like, what do how's
You,
that going to work?
you wrestled her, didn't you?
Yeah. Quite a few times. I love her. And Jessie Bell and Taylor Hendricks, I'm 5'4", they were all like 5'8", 5'9". So I just looked like this. But now, like, I'm putting on more muscle, so I am a little bit more believable. I look stronger. But, like, when I first started, if I didn't have a manager, how was I winning?
So, with you having a manager, would you prefer it to be a male, i.e., Victoria's Stevie Richards, or would you prefer a female like Lady Tappa is to, or she's not Lady Tappa anymore, but to Ava Marie in NXT?
Yeah. Um, Either way, it would be extremely fun. I like when I have chemistry with someone, I like having someone to feed off. The energy. I'm all about the energy and connecting with someone. And if I have that, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. It's going to be, fireworks.
And luckily you found that with Dylan right off the hop there, so.
Right.
So, what company would you see your character fitting best in?
That's a hard one, because, You know, I've got to meet the people at Ring of Honor. I've got to train with Truth Martini. I really like everyone there. That's awesome. It's a good place to be. Um, I really want to travel. I want to go to Japan.
So you're open to anything, is essentially
I'm
what you're
open to
saying.
anything. I really am. Like, there's no, you know how some people define making it as WWE? Well, that's cool, but that's not how I define making it. Like, as long as I'm doing what I love, I'm making it.
That's a great outlook to have on it, because I've interviewed, I'm gonna say, about 12 to 14 people so far, and they're all like, oh yeah, WWE. Like, what if I've made it, I'm at the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the first person that's told me I'm living my dream. Like, I've made it. As long as I can do it, I'm happy doing it. I made it, and that's really awesome to hear and like great to see.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm wrestling. How cool is that? Like, every weekend I'm on a flight. People that I've never seen before are coming to watch me perform, and it's just like mind blowing. I wait tables as a shoot job, and I just laugh sometimes when people are being rude to me. I'm like, dude, you don't even like, you have no idea. Like, it's so fun. I'm like, oh, people pay like $10 for my picture and to sign things, and then I go back to work, and they're like, excuse me, this drink is empty. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't even know. It makes me really humble.
So, with all like your start and everything, what has been the biggest moment to you where you've had like the pinch me, it's finally real moment, like where you marked out a little bit?
Oh God, I have those all the time, actually. Um, so I got to be a Rosebud a few times.
Oh, geez.
So I've actually got to be at WWE. I've got to see like all the stars and get to eat catering with them and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. That was pretty surreal. I got the opportunity to wrestle Mickey James in the fall, and personally, like, I love her. She's such an amazing wrestler, and I was like, oh my God, I'm wrestling Mickey James. That was pretty surreal. Um, it's just a lot of times, like, just I don't even remember where I was. I think me and Dylan were at like a baseball game. We're just sitting there at a baseball game in Pittsburgh, and some guy comes up to us. He goes, "Ah, I follow you guys on Twitter." He's like, "I've been going to wrestling shows to see you." And I'm like, that was pretty surreal as well. Like, just people recognizing us off the street, like, you're them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow.
Because Pittsburgh's no small town.
No, it isn't. So it's just like, what are the odds, you know? It's pretty crazy.
So, final question, and this is going to be a fairly long, or maybe not long answer, but I want to hear a really good road story you've had where we'd like to end it on a road story. Just something where you've maybe had a few laughs, or you've had the pinch me moment, or something like that.
All right, so this one's like infamous now. This one's more about Dylan than me. This is the infamous Dylan versus Ox story. This went down in West Virginia, so you know it's good. So it's me and Kelly Klein have a match that night, and it's Dylan versus the Oxman, right? He's just this 400-pound, googly-eyed guy who has no idea what he's doing. He's carrying around a rubber chicken, smacking people with it. So Dylan has the belt, and this guy thinks he's winning it that night. As they proceed to go out, like they're fighting backstage, back and forth. They're throwing like, you know, they're not getting along.
So this is
Yeah,
real heat. Like, this is like.
yeah, this is real. It's getting hotter and hotter backstage, and you know, they're about to go out to wrestle. We actually had other friends there that we train with, so there were about 4 of us there on Dylan's side, pretty much. So they go out and they start having their match. In the middle of the match, I can't remember what happens, but Dylan starts swinging on the guy, and the guy's like swinging on him. Dylan hit the ref, got disqualified. The guy got pissed because he didn't get the title. He comes backstage yelling at the ref. He goes, "Ref, you suck. That match was going really good." It was probably the worst match I've ever seen. They start fighting backstage, and then Dylan just tells the promoter, he's like, "I just need to eat." He's like, "I am gonna flip out if I don't get food." So Dylan starts eating his food. The Ox Man comes in and he's like, "So, Dylan, how was everything in the ring for you?" And Dylan's like, "Well, you suck and you shouldn't be in the ring," basically, is what he said to him. And he goes, "I was trying to put you over, da 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 da," and starts like, who even knows? Um, and he's like, "You want to take this outside?" And Dylan goes, "No, we'll fight right here." Okay, so Dylan's 5'11", 180. This guy's 400 pounds, 6'5", and we're all just like, "Oh God." I remember the man walked back out into like the hallway. He's crying. He's like, "I can't believe this happened. I was gonna be the champion." He's crying, crying, grown ass man crying. He tries to walk back into the room, and Kelly Klein goes, "Hey, I know what you're doing. Just turn around and go to the other room." He goes, "Listen here, you little bitch," and starts like cussing her out. And like, if you've ever met Kelly Klein or seen Kelly Klein, she's a big girl. Like, she's not someone you want to mess with. The money would have been on her. Um, he goes, "I was just going to sit down." She goes, "Next to Dylan," because that's the only seat available where we were. And she goes, "No, I don't think so." Um, I don't know. And the promoter paid us. We all left. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we've made sure that we tell this story to everywhere we go. So everywhere we go now, it's the infamous Ox versus Dylan story.
Is this
Like,
on YouTube, this match?
oh, I have no idea. It would be APWA. It was in West Virginia.
If it
I
is, I'm
hope.
going to tag it at the end of this video just so people can go see the match because that sounds hilarious.
Oh, there were 5 people in the crowd, too. It was
5
so
people?
yeah.
Oh my word.
We just gotta make sure that story gets out there. Like, it's funny, we meet people all over the place. They're like, "Man, I heard about that West Virginia guy." We're like, "Yeah, the Oxman."
Oh my goodness, that is unreal. Like I've heard some pretty shoot like matches from people before, but that is by far like the craziest shoot ending to a match I've ever heard.
It was bad.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show. Do you have any dates you want to plug with Dylan that you're managing him or anything?
I'm trying to think of where we are. I know my first match back will be May 28th at Keystone Pro. It used to be LCW.
Okay,
That'll be my first match back. So I'm excited
perfect.
about that.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night. You've been
You too.
watching Are You Afraid of the Mark with Ray Lyn.